Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Knitting on the Farm podcast. I'm coming to you today is Wednesday, it's the 11th of November and it's a Wednesday afternoon now. Probably by the time you're watching this it'll be Thursday. We have a horrendous day here with the weather. It is very wet and quite windy as well, so although maybe the lighting isn't great, I thought I would sit down and discipline myself to put a podcast up. It has been over a month now, maybe nearly 6 weeks for my last podcast, and inside that time I've had so many new subscribers. It has been fantastic, and thank you so much for hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for the beautiful comments underneath the last video and some underneath the older videos as well. And for my new subscribers, thank you so much. I apologise for not having a podcast up a little bit earlier, but I'll tell you a wee bit about that in a moment. But just because there's been so many new subscribers, I thought I would just run over a couple of details about myself and family. My name is Angela, as you probably know, and I live in County Down in Northern Ireland, and I'm married to my husband Andrew, who is a dairy farmer, and we have 3 married children and 4 beautiful grandchildren. Our 2 oldest children live quite a bit away from us now, so it's just our youngest son who is married 3 years now, 4 years now actually, and he lives beside us here. He works on the farm with my husband. We have a dairy farm, and at the moment, if you've watched some of the podcasts, you'll see there's been quite a few new enterprises. They've built a new dairy shed, and now they're in the process of building a new milking parlour. We're quite an old style farm, and with our son at home, it's time now to expand a little and make things a wee bit more comfortable for the boys. At the moment, milking has taken an extremely long time and it's just not practical. So here's hoping. The promise is Christmas dinner will not be delayed, but watch this space and you can let me know near Christmas if you think that's going to happen or not. So anyway, that's just a wee bit about myself. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that reached out on Instagram and other messages and emails, just asking if I was okay and giving me encouragement. I really appreciated that. I am mainly active on Instagram, and I sort of have been taking a wee break from Instagram, particularly weekends and sometimes through the week as well. Northern Ireland is in the 3rd week now, 4th week actually, of a second more stringent lockdown. It's not as bad as the first one, but it's much more than what it was in the summertime. So we're back to not being able to visit indoors, etc. And I think that really knocked me for 6, both mentally and just emotionally. We had been able to see our children and grandchildren, and then that had all stopped. And while I was really grateful for the times we were able to do that and we seen birthdays, etc., I really felt the pinch of not being able to visit again, albeit that, you know, visiting is very restricted, and we've been very good, or doing our best at social distancing even when we did visit. So I think that really, as I say, that really just sort of knocked me back. And I decided just to take a bit of time to myself and things at home, and that has helped, and I do feel an awful lot better for it now. But thank you to everybody that has encouraged and that sent me messages. I do really appreciate them. So then, where you can find me, all the links will be down below in the wee bar, but as I say, I'm mainly active on Instagram, and I am Knitting on the Farm with all the underscores. And just make sure I get this right. And then on Ravelry, I am Knitting on the Farm, and the links are down below. And then if you follow me on Instagram, in my bio, the links will take you directly through to all the different places, to YouTube and to Ravelry as well. So on Ravelry, the podcast has a Ravelry group, and there's a few threads running there. There's a get to know you thread, and then there's a chatter thread and a finished objects thread, which I'll talk to you about in a wee minute. And then if you want to contact me privately, that's absolutely no problem at all. You can do that via direct message on Instagram, or I also have an email, which is knittingonthefarm, all one word, all lowercase, at gmail.com. And some people do use it, and there's absolutely no problem with that. No problem with that at all. I do just sort of, Ravelry, I struggle a bit sometimes with checking in, and I do try to do that on a Thursday. I promise myself to make sure I do pop in on Thursday and see all that's going on. So if you don't hear from me, if you've left a message or anything, I will get it. And I've started to use the word already. I need to get away from that. So over on Ravelry at the moment then, there is a little competition running. I am co-hosting it with Lindsay, my friend, who has a podcast and is on Instagram as Stitch Create Love. And it is Christmas gift knitting 2020. Christmas gifts Mal, we called it. And my Ravelry group is for all things knitting. As I say, there's a chatter thread, and then there is the finished object thread, and that's for anything involving knitting or crochet. Could it be garments, socks, origami, anything like that. And then over on Lindsay's Ravelry group, it's for all things sewing. So anything at all to do with the needle and thread, be it English paper piecing, quilting, patchwork, embroidery, cross stitch, all that type of thing, if you enter it over there. If you just could keep the finished objects threads just for the photographs of the finished objects, that would be great, because I think it'll leave it a little easier for drawing the winners. And that competition closes now on the 25th of November, so I need to make sure and be back and draw the prizes for that. That's a good motivation to keep at the podcasting. So there's some beautiful items in there, and people have been really active, and I can see that a lot of people are getting on very, very well with their Christmas knitting, and be it a gift for yourself or be it a gift for someone, friend or family member, it doesn't matter. Just pop the photographs in there and Lindsay and I will draw some prize winners. I think with the way postage is at the moment, I mightn't post the prizes out until after Christmas, because postage is so slow at the moment, and it's open internationally, so I don't want anything getting lost. But I will get back to you on that. There's also an ask a question thread over there, and there was some questions in it, and I think I've answered them all. But if anybody wants to put any questions in there, pop them in and I will answer them the next time I podcast. Okay, this is just sort of very much, I just decided I'm going to do this now, so I mightn't just be as organised. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes to try and keep me right and keep this podcast in a reasonable amount of time. If it's going to run on too long, I'll just do another podcast and I'll do it next week, and then that'll be us all caught up. Okay, so I am going to cover some things that I have off the needles, some things that I have on the needles, which doesn't seem to be very much. I thought I had more. A few things that Postie has brought me, and a little bit about other crafts that I have been doing, and then just some general chit chat at the end. There's probably not very much. I feel that general chit chat sometimes just gets pushed out because I've recorded for long enough, and I just know people would be fed up at that stage, so I don't always have a lot in the general chit chat. Okay, then we will start with some things that are off the needles. These little anklet socks. I did say I wasn't very organised. I have finished. I showed them on my last podcast, and the pattern is called Midsummer Blossoms. I knit these before, so they'll be on some. They're not new. So that's the pattern, Midsummer Blossoms. There's the choice of the anklets or the shorties. So this time I have knit the anklets. The pattern is by Olivia Villabrel, And the yarn I used was from a girl called HoneyBee Knits, Melissa, and she's no longer dyeing yarn anymore, and she did have a huge de-stash, and I'm not sure if there's anything left or not, but these are the anklets. I'll show you. I have two, and then I'll pop one down because it's easier to show you. It's a beautiful speckled yarn. It is a nice pattern just on the top of the foot. The rib usually calls for about 15 rows. I have done 25 row, and then straight, I hold it there, straight into the heel, the flap and the gusset, and I just did the slip stitch heel, and then down onto the gusset decreases, and then just the traditional rounded toe. The wool it blocked so soft. I really liked it, and I love the pattern. You can see it worked out really well. It's just a nice sort of lattice type. Yeah, you can see it better there. Nice lattice type pattern. I just love it when you block it, and when I look through it, you can just see the stitches lining up right through. So that's nice. So I have a pair of anklets. I'm not sure whether I'm going to keep them or give them away. It'll depend how well I get on with my Christmas knitting, won't it? So that's my first finished objects, the Midsummer Blossom Socks by Olivia Villabrel, and the yarn HoneyBee Knits. The colourway just was Clara Crack Your Nuts, it was called, but I have it maybe three or 4 years. And this is a bag I got last year in a Christmas swap I did that was organised by Flora Honeypot. I haven't actually taken part in hers this year, but this was sent to me by my lovely swap partner. It's just a nice size bag for a sock project, drawstring bag with the London fabric on the top, and I have some jingle bells on from Jewels of So Sweet Violet. So I have had the Christmas project bags out now for a wee while because I've been knitting Christmas gifts, and I think it's nice just to get the use out of them, because I think once comes January you're ready to put Christmas away, aren't you? But that fabric you could easily use in the winter time. So that was storing those socks. The next socks then I finished. These are a Christmas gift, and they are the Feathering the Nest socks by Danielle George, which is Little Bobbins on Instagram. She also has a podcast, and she has been more active on Instagram again, and has had a couple of a little vlog up as well. So it's really nice to see Danny. It's a lovely calming podcast if you want to go and have a nosy. So I knit these then in yarn from one of my In the Countryside Sock Club yarns from Sherry Harris of the 2019 Sock Club, and these are they finished. I have them on the wooden blockers because they are for a man's foot, which is slightly bigger, and I call these socks Opposites Attract. Obviously you can see a pink toe and a yellow toe, and a yellow cuff and a pink cuff. So I did them vice versa. So pink toe is yellow cuff, pink cuff is yellow toe. So again, I'll show you one of them. They're easier to show. I'm not sure how well the pattern will show up, but I'll hold it in to the camera and hopefully you'll be able to see it. The pattern can go down the foot, but I just left the foot plain on this sock. Can you see that? Yeah, I think you can. So I did the 3-row contrasting colour in the cuff. Then I did the 20 rows of the cuff, and I think it's 60 or 64 in the leg, and then just the usual heel flap and gusset. I did lift an extra stitch on the gusset here. I usually lift 17 plus 1 and I lifted 18 plus 1. And then the foot, have in my book, I can tell you just exactly. Yeah, I did, I think it was about 72 rows for the foot and then the toe. So I had started these in the Nutkin socks, this yarn, so you'll have seen it before. So I'll show you just what I have left. That's what's left out of the main skein, and then these are the little bits that I have left in the contrast. And I think I've used that in something else, so I still have quite a wee bit left, and quite a wee bit of the yellow left. I can't remember just what colourways they were from in the sock club. I don't think I have it written down, but I'll check. No, I just had down that it was in the Countryside sock club. I'm sure I could find out if I looked. And this bag is beautiful. It was in the Christmas celebrations box last year from Sherry Aris and her son Chris, and it's a polka dot lining, and of course you'll know the robin is my favorite bird. It's hand embroidered, so it's special to me, and it has the linen, and oh, he's away, he's hiding, the little ceramic brooch, I think it is, or ceramic sort of topper, was from Etsy, and you could make it into a necklace if you wanted, but it's just hanging on there. So that's the Feathering the Nest socks. Okay, my final finished object then is a beautiful pattern that has been recently released. Again, it's by my friend Lindsay, who is Stitch Create Love, and she has been bringing out patterns. This is her second pattern, and I know she has another one in testnet at the moment to be released, I think probably next week. I'm just trying to find the first page here. Anyway, this sock pattern is very special. I think it's pretty unique. I haven't seen a pattern like this before. It includes instructions for cuff down and toe up. It is a paid for pattern, and it's called Flight of the Bumblebee. I just have it printed in black and white. It's brilliant. It's written so well, and there are a few pages to it because Lindsay talks you through each step of the way. But it also has the percentage system. Well, it's not percentage system, I suppose, per se, but for example, for the heel, everything's written out for you. I don't want to give too much away, but there's nothing left to chance at all. I talked in detail about it the last time on my podcast. I was doing this as a test knit for her, and you can't fault it. If you haven't knit a patterned sock before, it's most certainly one that is very, very worthy of your pounds. It's not expensive at all for what you get for getting instructions for 2 socks. So if you check that out, Lindsay is Stitch Create Love across on Ravelry. But if you follow her on Instagram, you'll get in her bio also, she has links to all her places where you can find her. So these are the finished socks. They are just absolutely beautiful. Again, the pattern goes right down the front. I knit mine cuff down. The yarn is from Elder Flower Stitches, Susie, and it is the first Fallen Leaves colorway. It's a high twist, beautiful yarn. If you can just, can you see the speckles? It's so delicate, and yet, you know, the colors are in there. It's really nice. The little extra contrast on the cuff and on the toe was what I had left over from the cowl that I knit for Lindsay, the test knit cowl. Let's see, I can't remember just off the top of my head what that was called, what that yarn was called. Hold on, I'll get it for you. But anyway, the pattern resembles little bumblebees, and I am going to take it off and hold it on my hand so that you can maybe see it a little bit better. If I can just, I'll set that down because I'm only faffing with one hand. Come on. Yes, the contrast is Vintage Silk. It was the 4th colorway in a mini set that I bought from Elder Flower Stitches, and I think it just, if you can see, I think it matches really well. So I did put some photographs up on my Instagram page which shows the pattern quite well. Sometimes on the sock blocker it's not great, but wait till we see. If you can see, I can't actually see what you can see, but I'm hoping you can see. They really do resemble beautiful bees. Yeah, you see it there. It's a very simple pattern. I think off the top of my head, I think it was maybe 4 row repeat, if I remember correctly. So it's not complicated to remember, and as I say, it is extremely well written. It's like a German short row heel, which I have only done, I think, maybe once before. So because I'm always heel flap and gusset, it took a wee bit of getting used to, but it is a good fit. It fits my husband better probably than it fits me, but as everybody has their go-to heel, but that's not exactly to pattern. So that is my BumbleBee socks for autumn. I just called them bumblebees for autumn, but the pattern is the Flight of the Bumblebee, and it's by Stitch Create Love. Okay, it was in this little pretty bag which I purchased from my friend Jeanette, who is Crafty Clay Creations. You'll know that I did a destash of bags, and I destashed to declutter, and then I purchased more bags. Isn't that what you do as a crafter? So that's the ball band from Elder Flower Stitches. and that's the content. And that's how much I had left, and I had that left out of the 20 gram mini. I really did like them together. I love the high twist yarn. I had started to actually weigh what was left for my own reference, really, but I'm not sure if I of course I didn't do it for that one. That's the first yarn that I have actually knit with that's high twist, and I super love it. I love the stitch definition, and most certainly it's something now when I go to order anything, I sort of look to see if it is available in high twist. I do like it. So that and that's my little bag. I think that purchase was maybe for last podcast from Jeanette. If you want to check her out, she's Crafty Clay Creations on Instagram, and she has all her links in her bios as well. I hope that all has made sense and that has went okay. So I will move on now to what is on the needles. So I hope you have a cup of tea or coffee with you, and that you're sitting nice and comfy, and so far you're not bored to tears. And I will get organised now and show you what's on the needles. The first project that I have on the needles is something I've talked about quite a while ago, and started it and then it has sat for a wee while, but I'm back to working on it again, and really enjoying the knit. And it is the Fern and Feather sweater. It was all the rave quite a while ago. Excuse me for the noise, and I didn't jump onto the train then, but it has always been in my queue for knitting, so I wanted to get it started. So that is the pattern, Fern and Feather, and it's by Jennifer Steingass. Again, it's just printed in black and white. I'll show you the sweater, so the progress so far, and then I can talk to you about the yarns I used. Okay, so this is my progress so far. It's on a smaller cable needle, so it's a wee bit harder to show, but I have the colour work completed, and I have split for the sleeves, and then I'm working here now. There's a few rows to work here before I start the waist shaping, which I haven't decided. Sit down and talk to you. I haven't decided whether I'm going to add it in yet or not. I really enjoyed this knit. There was short row shaping in the yoke, and then there was some more short row shaping sort of a bit further down, so there were two sets of it. I managed it okay. I used the German short rows and had no problem at all. I have the sleeves on. I talked on these the last podcast, on these little stitch holders, rather than on extra cable needles. They are by Clover. They are called, back to front, there you go. They are called circular stitch holders, and they come in short and long, I think. The short ones are 9 to 16 inches. Keep insisting, yeah, that's the right way. 9 to 16 inches, and then the longer ones, I don't have the packet here, so I'm not sure, but the longer ones are enough to go around the waist of a sweater. They're really good because of the wee rubber stopper, and they have a needle on one end, so very handy for taking your stitches back onto your live needles again. And why I like them in particular is when you're knitting top down and you lift your stitches again, sometimes you can get a line just where you start to knit again, and although it does block out reasonably well, I found when I left the cables in that the line was more noticeable. So when I find these and use them, I don't get the same problem. It's not the same concern for me. I really do like them, and they're nice and light, tuck well in out of the way when you're knitting. And I know somebody asked me about them, and I think they've already purchased them. So that's the yoke of the sweater done, the sleeves split, and I'm down working now towards the waistband shaping. It's just plain stockinette from here, so once I decide on the shaping, it's just going to be round and round. So nice knitting for this time of the year when you're sitting down in the evenings, and you know, if you have your low lights on, you don't need to worry so much because there's no pattern to follow, which is very good. The yarn that I'm using is Wensleydale long wool. This is their yarn band. It is iron weight yarn I'm using. It's 100% pure new wool, and there's 160 meters, 174 yards to 100 grams. Wensleydale sheep produce the finest and most valuable lustre long wool in the world, and it is spun in Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. The yarn is lovely to knit with. I do like it. It's maybe just a wee bit scratchy when you feel it, but everybody has said it blocks really well and it softens. I'll not have a problem wearing it. When I was knitting it, carrying it double, obviously in the colour work, has left quite a stiff top. So I'm hoping that it'll be okay. I'll show you my floats actually in a wee minute, but those are the two colourways I chose. Let me see, it's maybe the green's coming up true to colour. I'll see if I can get you a true to colour on the contrast. How's that? I think it's maybe slightly darker than it's coming up on camera, but yet again, when I was knitting it, I thought there was no contrast whatsoever, but yet when I see it from a distance and see it on camera, even, you know, there's no problem that there's contrast there. So I'm quite pleased about that, because I was a wee bit concerned. As I say, I'll show you my floats. Haven't done a lot of colour work knitting to have floats, but I'm hoping that these floats are, oh, let's turn it that way, there's no, I'm hoping the floats are okay. I think this should be all right. One change, when I started this sweater, obviously you don't pick up any stitches for the a neckband, So you have the rolled neck, and when I did the rolled neck, all I could see was my floats. You'll be dizzy watching me turning that round. All I could see was my floats just turning over, and they were really visible just like that. So one of my friends on the Zoom meeting had read some comments. Obviously I hadn't read the comments well enough, and someone said rather than knitting to give you the little roll neck, to purl and it would help, and it most certainly has. I think when it's on you're not going to see the floats. Obviously those are the back ones you see there, but I think it's much better, put it that way. So I did have a restart on that to fix that, but I hadn't very much of it done. So thank you to Nikki from Sheep and Cheerful podcast for advising me on that. Your advice was correct, and you've helped me out, and I'm storing that in this bag, a larger bag just from Jeanette, and I think there might be a little pouch. Just want to show you a little pouch in there as well. So that is my Fern excuse me, my Fern and Feather sweater, and I want to get cracking on with that. Excuse me for bending down. The next thing I have on the needles is just another pair of socks for Andrew. I'm sure you've heard me 101 times talking about needing hardware and socks for Andrew, because he wears his socks in his welly boots, and because the boots aren't fitted, the socks get quite a bit of friction when he's walking around. So I need something hard wearing. I've had to darn my first pair, and just when we're talking about darning, we always have the conversation as knitters about yarn and the cost of it, and indie dyed versus commercial yarn, etc. And I can say, out of the socks I have knit for Andrew, I have used West Yorkshire spinners, I've used Serder, I've used Opal, I've used Regia. I knit his good socks, or his going out socks in indie dyed yarn, and they're fine. I was in Hobbycraft and I lifted some of their sock yarn. I think it was $3.95, and I have knit him a pair of those, and to date they're actually the best wearing socks that he has. Now I did have to darn one at the weekend, but I think it was my fault, because there may have been a stitch that I just didn't lift completely when I was changing the colour over at the toe, and I've darned it, and I see he has them back on again because he quite likes them. But these socks, I had purchased this yarn a good wee while ago, and I was keeping it just to knit them for sort of the Christmas colourways. So this is the Robin colourway from West Yorkshire Spinners, and I picked up a skein of their cherry colourway, and I thought it was the same colour, but on camera it looks not too bad. It's a wee bit more pinky maybe than the yarn in the sock, but from a distance it's fine, and I really don't think the welly boots will be a problem. So this is just a plain vanilla sock. This is my Zoom room socks, and first time in a long time I've knit a vanilla sock, but it's handy. It's just handy because you can talk, and not too much concentration required. I need concentration now, don't I? So I have the first one complete, 25 row cuff, 64 leg, and I did a 70 foot because he thought maybe the foot wasn't just long enough, so he wanted me to do a slightly longer foot to see how that would go. So it's slightly bigger than the sock blocker, but I did the contrast heel, toe and cuff. So I have that one knit, I think 2 Zoom meetings maybe. So either the Zoom meetings are long or else I do a lot of knitting. We'll just say I do a lot of knitting, not let the girls down. And the next one then I have the heel turn done, and I'm ready just for the gusset decreases, so it'll not take too long to get rid of the, not take too long to get finished. I have the heel done, just ready to lift up and start the decreases. So I've been using these bulb stitch markers. Crazy Sock Lady suggested she uses them every 10 rows, and they're just brilliant because I don't work in inches. I prefer to work in rows between one sock and the other, so it's a good idea and it keeps me right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one looks shorter than the one in the sock blocker, so I just wanted to check, but yeah, I'm right. These I'm knitting as all my socks, 2.25 mil for the cuff and 2 mil for the leg. And I'm doing the same in those ones. So that's the 2 yarns together. And I was keeping them in this bag. This is last year's Christmas bag, and it's by Curly Emma Embroidery. She does some free motion embroidery, and I love it. I've had it out for ages. So that is all my works in progress, or things that I have on the needles. I have one other item on the needles, and it is a secret test knit as far as I know, and I won't show you it just until it's finished, and until the pattern is released. I can say I'm knitting it in Sherry Iris yarn. It's the yarn that I got back in maybe June, and it was the green woodpecker colorway, and it just spoke Christmas to me then, so I have kept it for Christmas, and I'm knitting these socks in it as the test knit, but I will show you them later on. So that is, yeah, that's all my on the needles. So we will move on and show you some things that Postie has brought. What has Postie brought? Oh. Okay, what Postie has brought. I will show you first of all a bag that I purchased, again from Jeanette of Crafty Creations. It's actually housing my test knit. So Jeanette had a couple of these bags in her shop. A duffel round bottom the bag with some patchwork out round. And although I don't need it, I just fell in love with it. It has nice toggle on it, and that's sort of the straps that the toggle goes out through. Jeanette's bags are beautifully made, the attention to detail is lovely, and the lining is a nice dark lining, and I think it's grunge fabric she calls it, and I think this was just a, I'm not sure, it was a wee jelly roll or something she bought, but it's lovely, and the base is the grunge as well. I really like it. So that is one of my incoming goodies, and as I say, it's housing my secret squirrel test knit. My October Life of Birds sock club has already came in, but I always keep it to the next month because I know it flies off internationally and I wouldn't want to ruin it for anyone. So this is the September sock club, and it was the Wren, and it is the sturdy sock base, 400 meters per 100 grams, and the mini is 80 meters per 20 grams, and it's 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's Sherry Iris Designs that does the sock club. The artwork is all from her son Christopher, and the yarn comes in a lovely fabric case or bag, and I keep these and use them for gifting socks, or I cut them down and get 2 out of it and use them for gifting chutney or granola, that type of thing. So this is the colourway. It's nice, sort of browns and cream, and there's little specks of blue in there as well, and then you get a little progress keeper. See, yeah, and also a tea bag and a lovely lavender pouch to match, and a page then of the details of the bird, some information about it. I really enjoy the information, and I enjoy going and looking up some more details about each bird each month. So that is the September one, and the October one is beautiful. So that was one of the incoming goodies. Another incoming goodie rather, I treated myself to a set of the Hiya sock needles. I had the Chagu, and I actually sold them on my D-stash because I couldn't get on with the length of the needle at all. I couldn't work with them, so I treated myself to these. They came with a sheep needle gauge. All the needles fit in here, and this covers over on them, and then they have a zipper pouch here for storing the cords and things, and also a zipper pouch on the back. It's like a nice Japanese type fabric, and of course it's red, which is my favorite color. And so far I really enjoy knitting with these. I don't notice any difference in my tension, and I'm really pleased with them, and I'm glad that I did take the plunge and buy them. I would love a set of the standard circulars, but maybe someday, we'll have to see. So that was from Ellie of Craft House Magic. And then I purchased a sock set also from Ellie. It just arrived today actually, and it's called All I Want for Christmas Is You. It is a high twist yarn. It's 365 meters per 100 grams. It's 80% superwash blue faced Leicester and 20% nylon, and I have knit with her blue faced Leicester before, and I love it, and I made sure that I ordered it in that yarn again. So that's the colorway. See if I can. That's Ellie's label. Maybe if I hold it hold it that way. Yeah, it's nice and subtle, but it has maybe more pink than red, and the green is maybe more grass green than sort of tinsel green. I've never really knit socks maybe in the very Christmas colours. I do have a Dragon Hill Studio yarn, a self-striping to knit up, and I'll do it, but the softer tones just seem to be speaking to me more at the minute. I'm not sure whether it's because I've taken, or trying to take, an approach to life of the simpler things and just looking each day for something simple and looking each day for a blessing. It sort of has maybe muted my colour palette a little bit, I'm not sure, but I'm enjoying sort of the more plain, the muted colours at the moment. So that's the yarn from Ellie, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and she sent me a lovely tiny mini in the parcel. It is called Frozen, and it's blue faced Leicester or Leicester as well, so it's very pretty. Thank you, Ellie. So yeah, that's my other yarn purchase. Then my Yarn Badger Advent self-striping yarn has arrived. It's in the wardrobe behind me. It's still wrapped. I haven't opened it because I'm keeping it for the 1st of December, and I'm going to be using it in my Vlogmas. It's a self-striping yarn. It comes 250 gram skeins, and I hope to have a pair of socks knit from the 1st of December to the 24th. So I suppose that tells you I'm hoping to do Vlogmas as well. So that is all that has came in, I think, with regard to knitting. So I have one item that I am going to be casting on hopefully today or tomorrow. I am doing this as a kind of a make along with my friend Lindsay, and this yarn also came from Ellie. It is the Siren Song Shawl, as I say, by Truly Myrtle Designs. And I bought this yarn with another project in mind, and then I've taken cold feet on it. So I have actually 4 skeins, and I just need to use two colours. So I had this one wound. These were the 4 colours that I was going for, a faded. And you were to start with the lightest and then go through to the dark grey. I intend it to go. The Siren Song, I have the choice of knitting it in these colours or knitting it in the 2 greys, and I have chosen the 2 greys, which are Ordinary World and Black Hole Sun. And I think for this time of the year, those 2 colours are nice, sort of the darker tones, and these would make a beautiful summer, spring shawl. So I'm going to keep those for then. So I want to actually get that, excuse me, I want to get that cast, skeined up and cast on, because I know Lindsay's doing hers today. So they're pretty true and accurate in colour there. And that's in the baby alpaca, silk and cashmere yarn. It's 70% alpaca, 20% silk and 10% cashmere, and it's beautiful, so soft, and there's a nice kind of a wee halo to it, so I think it'll make a nice shawl. So that's something I want to get cast on. So I think that's all the knitting. As I said, I have been doing a little bit of sewing, and my sewing has all been posted to my daughter. You'll have seen the photos, they'll be up on Instagram. I made a couple of aprons and a rugby boot bag for my grandson, I will see if I still have photographs. I know I lost some photographs off my phone. If I still have some, I'll put them in. So that is my sewing makes. I also have my Christmas swaps. They are in the post, and I'll show you photographs of those then after Christmas. When I said I was making the aprons for my daughter and granddaughter, my daughter said she would, why not make Christmas ones for them? So I ordered some fabric from you, me and Mabel, and these are the fabrics I chose. This one is for my daughter. It's a lovely fabric. It's a Christmas tree, it's called. And there's a little Santa here and there. And then I didn't want to sort of have one sort of really childish and the other really mature or whatever. So I seen this one. It's a Lewis and Aring fabric, and it's called Tomty's Christmas. And it has the little Santa in it. And I think some of the Santas are more or less the same, or very close to the Santa in this one, so they'll be nice. And I have the ribbon for the apron and all, so I just need to get on and get them sewn. And then in the package there was this lovely piece of fabric which would make a really nice, I think I would have enough to make a really nice bag. So that was very, very kind of them. So that is all my incoming goodies. Sewing and knitting. I have one piece of cross stitch. I was doing a large cross stitch piece, and I just wasn't getting it at all. I just wasn't making progress on it. So I seen this. It's a Dove Tree Stitches. It's a subscription for every month, but I just ordered the 1 month, and this is how far I've got on with it so far. I forgot to bring down the sheet to show you, but basically along here goes some stags, and there's a row of Christmas trees, and then it goes in a round hoop. I will add some photos. Just check if can you see. And this is a needle keeper that I had. Can't remember where I got it from. It was on Etsy, but I can't remember the name of the shop. So that is the little bit of cross stitch I'm doing. I'm really enjoying it because I can sit in the living room in the evenings and do it with my magnifier. I don't need to just be in my sewing room, so I am enjoying that. Can't remember now how many minutes I've recorded because I had to stop and start, so hopefully this isn't too long, or there'll be a lot of editing done. Okay, then it's just basically the last sort of general chit chat, and I don't have very much really. So I don't, other than to say that at the minute I sort of have been finding sewing and a little bit of cross stitch have been more satisfying to me than knitting. Satisfying is maybe the wrong word, more therapeutic to me than knitting. I just enjoy the pace and the slowness of them, and I have been really enjoying doing that. I most certainly won't be getting onto the cross stitch bandwagon or down the cross stitch rabbit hole, I think, but I'm just enjoying that sort of Christmas piece on the canvas, and I do hope I'll get it finished for Christmas because it's sort of a small project. So I really am enjoying the cross stitch at the moment. I'm enjoying my knitting okay too, and I've sort of got over that very dry lack of mojo period, and it's back again. So I'm not doing too bad. Let's just say I'm never not doing something crafty in my free time. I did say that I'd taken some time from social media. The Zoom room is always is always open on the Thursday night, so I never have missed it. It has been there, and I do have a friend that will host that if I'm not there, so thank you, Nikki, for that. And she's my right hand woman, and I really appreciate all that Nikki does for me. Thank you so much, Nikki. The other thing is just basically a wee quick update on the farm. A lot of people have asked about things that are going on in the farm, and the boys are getting on really well with the new parlour that's being built, and they are hoping to be in for Christmas. I think I probably did say that, so fingers crossed that that'll happen, because this time of the year it's just a long process when all the animals are in the house and things. Sometimes people think because the animals are in that it's easy, but you've all the extra feeding and cleaning and bedding and all that type of thing, so it is a lot more time consuming, and it would be great if the parlour was finished and at least milking time was a wee bit more practical. And that's basically where it sits at the moment. With regard to knitting on the farm, I do hope to do Vlogmas now from the 1st of December, so I am looking forward to that and getting organised for it. I'm not sure whether it'll be every day. I'm just going to go with the flow. I hope to record something every day, but it may not be uploaded. You might get 1 or 2 in the week, or you might get 3 or 4, it just depends. I just don't want to push myself to commit to every day, but I do want to record something and then put it together for upload whenever I can. And last year I did the Advent Sundays, and I had a message in them, and a lot of people enjoyed them, and some people even found me for the first time through my Advent. So I, not only for myself but from a faith point of view, I really appreciate that people found the podcast and enjoyed that. So I'm doing something different this year. It's still going to be on the Sundays in December, so watch out for that, and hopefully you will enjoy it. Even if you don't share the same faith as myself, I'm a born again Christian. If you don't share that, these Sunday Advents won't in any way intimidate you or your faith. I think you will enjoy them. So that is how I stand for Vlogmas. This year, with not going out and about, not that I be out and about very much anyway, but this year's going to be more particularly, a lot of vloggers aren't going to be out and about, so it'll be interesting to see how Vlogmas goes. I think a lot of people are gearing up for doing some crafty things, so you'll learn lots by watching all the vlogs. And that is basically it. I do hope to get another podcast in before Vlogmas, but the way things go, sometimes you just don't know, and I'm not going to push myself to do that. As I say, you want to see cheery, happy things. I want to be cheery and happy when I'm doing it, and we'll just take each day as it comes. So for now, thank you very much for sticking with me. Thank you very much for subscribing, for your beautiful comments, and for all the little messages about where I've been. I appreciate them so much, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. So in the meantime, just keep safe and enjoy what you do, whatever craft that is. See you soon.